Hello and welcome to the interview. My guest today is one of the most prominent human rights activists in the Middle East. Hannah Edwar has for decades worked to improve the social and economic conditions of the Iraqi people and of Iraqi women in particular. She's perhaps best known for an astonishing incident in 2011 when she interrupted a live television conference and lambasted the Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki over the detention of protesters. After this public challenge, a bullet was left in an envelope outside her office. In 2013, Hannah Edwar won the Arab Woman of the Year, awarded by the Takrim Initiative. Welcome to the program.
Well, thank you very much.
You've said that the Iraqi dream of democracy is dying. What do you mean by that?
Really, when they established after 2003, this in a state of a civil state, we have seen another things. We have seen a prehistory of religious state, of tribal, norms and traditions being, emerged. And it is in contrast to our dream for democracy.
Prehistory, you mean going back to what?
Going back to the, tribal norms. And this is not recognitions of women being equal to men. And going back to a religious state where really a number of things that's against our human rights, standards and issues that it is in against with.
This tribalism, you're dating it to 2003.
Exactly, after 2003.
After 2000, after the US-led invasion. So are you saying that somehow things were better under Saddam Hussein just before 2003?
Unfortunately, no, because he started, increasing the role of the tribes after in the mid of 90s when the army was very weak and the state institutions became also weak. So he tried to get the supports of the tribes and the others. And also when he declared the faith campaign at that time as he is an Islamist one and so on. All these things, it happened during Saddam times. But within the absence of the state, institution after 2003, it has continued on the same level as it is.
Right. So essentially, you would say since 2003, the main failure in Iraq has been to overcome this tribalism.
Exactly.
And what is civil society organizations like yours? What are they doing about that?
We did a lot. We did really a lot about, bringing the questions of human rights issues. We're bringing the international human rights, conventions, especially concerning women's issues, women's rights, women's equality, gender issue, gender justice. And also we brought the quota to the Constitution. So not only in the Constitution, it was expanded after that to the local governments too. And we feel that we have really get, some of good things that we included in the government, like the new strategy on violence against women, new strategy on, advancement of women, the new strategy on development, but it has only remained in papers. All this, it remains in papers.
I was going to come on to that. I mean, what is stopping the actual implementation of these initiatives in terms of daily behavior and daily life?
I think there was really no political will of all of that. No political will to implement things. Then secondly, it was really that there was no budget allocations for these, all these things. Thirdly, the corruptions has eaten everything in the country. And so this is the problems now in the country, that still the state institutions are very weak. And in due time also you can see that the corruptions is not, fought against. In the state, they are still there, and the budget of the government is being declined because of the corruptions and other things.
How does it affect your work, though, concretely? I mean, this corruption, what impact does it have on you?
Of course, that's the questions of even of the human rights issues became very critical, during the last years. And I can say from the what you call the sectarian war after 2006 until 2009, that was very, very critical situation for human rights issues in the country, as well on the liberal people or at the secular peoples. It was really very bad time during these times. But anyhow, we could could resist all these things, and we could still, we say we are still survive. But instead of that, we got really the support from the street now. People are, young generations being, in the street now, day on weekly basis, and they are really speaking about civil state. And this is that we feel the achievement that we come in.
So you sense that there is some kind of generational change, at least, that young people are more aware of their identity as citizens rather than belonging to a particular community.
Exactly. With the new conscience of the new generation, it gives us a lot of hope now, and especially among young people and young women also.
Well, I'm going to come on to women, but first, let's take a look again at that. Let's take a look, I should say, at that video that made you famous, that went viral in the Arab world back in 2011, when you're haranguing the Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki. Any feelings on watching that again now?
I feel really so proud for that we have to raise our voices as a human rights, and I am feeling so proud that people recognize that. And it is the main things for me. It's not only one voice, as the people's voice that also should really bring every day.
One thing that struck me watching that video was a lot of men surrounding you, men in suits. Is that kind of a metaphor for the situation women face in Iraq?
Usual. Men always, they are taking, they stand, in the front in the state of women, and they are trying to shut down my voices on that. So I say no, I have to continue speaking what I want to say. And it is our human rights mission, our human rights belief about this, and we don't give up on this.
But in terms of actual achievements, though, I mean, you've been fighting for a long time to get a domestic violence bill pushed through into law.
Yeah.
It's taken, what, more than 5 years? It still hasn't happened yet. Why is it taking so long?
Yeah, I think this is the questions of women in Iraq is an issue. With the all they interfere. We are the bill is now within the parliament in the women's committee. But you can find now we are facing with not only women. We are facing with the endowment committee. We are facing with the legal committee. We are facing with other committees interfering, and they say no. It is against Islam.
Why is it?
They said it is against Islam.
But do you think it's male-dominated values, essentially?
Exactly. It is the male mentality. They are against everything that they can say that woman has dignity and has really equal, footing in their saying.
So the main hope is what, for young people to change that over a longer period of time?
I think we and with the young generation, we will change. I am very optimistic about that.
Hannah, Edward, I want to ask you a broader question. I mean, Iraq is, of course, a country at war. I mean, the Islamic State group occupies parts of the country.
Yeah.
That rule, as we know, has been particularly vicious for women. What do you think? How do you think ordinary Iraqis can resist this, and perhaps women in particular? How do they? What role do they have in that?
Indeed, there are a number of women being killed by ISIS in Mosul. I am speaking also. That's many of these doctors, physical doctors, lawyers, members of the council of local government, they were candidate in the parliament and so on. Many academic women, they were really, shut down or executed because of saying very, very small, very little things. But they were against, they expressed themselves, against such, darkness, powerful terrorist organization.
Because they had this double fault of being women and being educated.
Exactly, and they are, as you say now, as you can see now, that women being, kept in the houses, except the women working in the nursing or in the hospital, that they are allowed to go and continue. Otherwise, all women stayed at home.
So what could a sort of, people power revolt against ISIS actually look like, do you think?
I think they are resisting, especially that people they are not sending their girls or their boys to schools. This is one of the resisting things, and I think also they are, in communicating with others, outside. Mosul is also a kind of asking for liberating Mosul and themselves from this, darkness forces. And I believe that people they have really suffered a lot in Mosul and other, when they were under this state of Daesh, and they don't feel that they can accept this ideology. It's ideology. It's really in contrary to any human being, to any human, issues. And it is we cannot really stay, or they can support such, forces in the country. So I believe that the day is coming. The day is coming to get, relief from these forces. But of course, the consequences of that, it is great, still great. A huge heritage will have, conflict, internal conflict, how to settle people going back from the displaced, people from the minorities, that they are not feeling that they are safe in Iraq now. And we have to make, guarantees for these displaced people. Women, the Yazidi women who suffered a lot from the sexual slavery from these ISIS. And all these things, it is really a very, very huge heritage that we are facing, and it needs a lot of work on that.
A lot of healing to do ahead if and when the conflict actually ends. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much, Hana Edouard, chairperson of the Al Amal Association and co-founder of the Iraqi Women's Network. More news coming up shortly on France 24.